Often when developing Unity games, you'll need to build in a pause function so that the player can halt the game and come back to it when they're ready. To do this, you'll need to create a bit of scripting just to halt the timescale of the Unity engine. In order to do this, we'll need to write a script, and we'll need to place that script onto some kind of managing object. So I've just put in an empty game object into my game and called it manager. At the moment, this example is just a ball that bounces around, and when it collides with things, emits a particle system. So what we want to do is to write a script. So if you go to Create and JavaScript, we'll name this Pauser, and we'll double click on it to launch it. Now we need to place this into update so that it can halt the game on a particular frame. Always remember that when you're doing things on update, they'll be called every single frame. Likewise with fixed update if you're working with something involving physics. So in this example, we're going to check if the game has been paused. So we need to create a variable called paused. So what we'll do up at the top of the script is to create a Boolean variable. So we'll say var paused is of type Boolean and equal to false. So when the game starts, we'll need some kind of toggle in order to switch that pause on and off. Now in this example, I'm just going to use input get button up jump. So that's the space bar by default. But obviously you can go in and tie this to whatever key that you want to using the input settings, and check out the video on that if you want to know how to change keys. So what we're going to do when the button is pressed, we're going to check if the game has been paused. If it hasn't, then we'll pause it, and if it has, then we'll unpause it. So first off, we'll say if not paused, so that exclamation mark means if this isn't the case, then what we'll do is set time class dot timeScale to a different value. So normal speed of simulation is a value of 1 and paused is a value of 0. Using a value in between those will give you some kind of slow motion effect if you wanted to achieve that. So using timescale, we can set it to 0 to pause it. We'll also then need to make the script aware that this has happened. So we'll say paused is true. And we'll just save that, switch back to Unity, drag the script, drop it onto the manager, and try testing the game. So when I press play and release the spacebar, it pauses the game. Now I don't have any way of unpausing it yet, so I'll stop play of the game and return to my script. This is where I need to build in an else condition and simply say that paused equals false and time.timescale is set back to 1. So when the input button jump is set, if paused is not the case, set the timescale to 0 to halt simulation and set paused state to true. Otherwise, when it's pressed, paused is set back to false and the timescale is returned to 1. So when paused is false, then we can recall this same thing again. And note that I've put it on a get button up rather than a get button or a get button down, because I don't want this to be called multiple times. Otherwise it will simply be pausing and unpausing on alternate frames and you won't be able to really get out of it. So we'll save that script, switch back to Unity and press play, and now when I tap the spacebar I pause and tap it again to unpause, and you'll notice that it even halts literally everything. So you can see my particles there are halted as well, and I can keep pressing space as much as I want to pause the game. So that's a basic pause script in Unity.